talks over.
There we go. I think I've got it figured out
In
now.
and out.
Oh well,
Dine and dash.
what's the wrong button in a while? All right, see you in that.
Okay.
Be one of them days.
We're gonna get Charlie now.
Yeah. Uh, mm. So today's talk is going to be rather simplistic to begin with, and then we'll take you into deeper understanding of the way the mind, and if you like, the karma involved that you develop over a period of time affects the life that you are seeing. And this is an important reminder. It is an important reminder for the times you are experiencing now and the times that you will experience in the not so distant future. So you should enjoy your peace and joy, because as times become more testing, it'll become harder to find your peace and joy. Many years ago, science looked at life into what it saw as its smallest particle, in fact, an atom, and said atoms are just bunches of matter that floats around the universe until it coincidentally bumps into another atom in another part of the universe. But as man looked deeper into the atom, it realized, in fact, it is not solid inside, but in fact is just a gathering of energy. So rather than the body appearing solid, of course, it is made up of energy and, in fact, empty space. And the energy, one could say, is no more than a thought. The way the energy will move in certain ways and perform certain tasks. And you can see this occurring within your life. That if you were to, let us say, leave your office in a rather stressed or difficult mood, then you would see the difficulty in the life as you walk along the street of your city. And moving to another street in another suburb will not change this. Moving to another city also will not change this point of view, or indeed another country. The way your internal belief system or thoughts work, of course, affect the life that you see. If you are in a difficult mood, then there is difficulty all around you. If you're in a loving mood, then the world is more full of love. And so, in effect, you are creating the thought. And that thought then is within your body, but also within your mind, of course, and then into the exterior world. Now, this is something you've heard time and time again, not just from me, but from many. But your thoughts create your reality. And those thoughts then will keep producing its own fear time and time again until the mind is purified, which of course is the essence of this term's discussion. You see, you are told that you are spirit. And you are told that spirit are in fact one. There is one spirit. And you have believed this and accepted it, and therefore have some understanding of it. But the truth is, your understanding of this topic does not make the topic either correct or incorrect. So the unity of spirit will occur whether you understand it or not. So then there becomes two plays of karma. One play of karma, which is about the individual, and one at a far higher level, which we'll explain in stories in the second part of our discussion. So, of course, the correct way of enjoying life is by clarifying or purifying your mind. And let it be focused upon what is true and what matters, rather than what does not matter, what distracts one from the truth. You see, healing of a body will not take place if one truly works only from the body. As any healing, if it was to be glimpsed, is apparently a miracle. But when one finds the connection of the spiritual truth of unity, then healing is perfectly natural. So not only is it the clarification of what you are seeing important, but then the realization which dawns is also important. So in shifting and changing the way your mind is clear or not clear will have some effect, but when you reveal the truth of spirit, then all miracles are just a natural part of life. So the work then becomes twofold. The purification of the mind, leading to the revealing of the truth. The purification of the mind as in moving or removing things like fear and doubt, stress, obstacles which are apparent, karmas which you'll see at play, and the revealing of spirit which must naturally unfold. Not the belief in spirit, but the experience of spirit. And then as one becomes more connected or reveals the connection of spirit, then the synchronicities of life start to be seen in many, many different times. So the cleansing of mind develops into more spiritual manifestation. And one can get so caught in the beauty of what these synchronicities or validations or miracles, if you like, that are playing out around the body, one then sees and lives in the physical world again. So one must come back again and not be interested in synchronicity. And come back into where do these come from? Has been said many times that one can very naturally develop a certain spiritual gift. And that gift can be rather beautiful and have apparently some uses into your physical world. And one can dwell in this gift, and then it becomes a dead end. A dead end that it may be beautiful, it may express wondrously, and it may tell you that there is the non-physical world. But at some stage, it must point back to the truth. That it comes out of your internal world, and that is where you must go. So no matter how wondrous or how difficult life appears on your outside, it must always be a signpost to what is inside. And you must see it and find, why is this so? Where does this come from? What is the source of this beauty or difficulty? Now, this, of course, as I've said, is the purification of the mind. And in times to come, there will be discussions on how to work correctly with the mind. But in a moment, we'll have the healing list. And after then, I wish to explain to you the way 2 levels of karma are in play with life, and the way that you should correctly look at them. You know, as I said in the beginning, this is taking what was once said to you from a multitude of sources into a deeper understanding. And then you can be clear of why, well, I would hope you would be clear of why life is occurring in certain ways, even beyond your own thought. So, Brandon, may I have the healing list now, please?
Robert, Jeannie, Timmy, Lena, Ross, Stacy, Lauren, Mistuki, Mark, Taylor and Suzette, Asha, Rosa, Coulter, Melada, Craig and Amanda, Jody, Christina, Liza, Katie, Chris and Howard Wielden, Mike Eskins, Evie Johnston, Daniel, Stephanie and Susanna, Harriet, Jasmine, Tim, Mira, Courtney, Hendrix, Andy, Eric, Stephen, Matthew, Marianne, Jody, Jill, Katie, Mitch, C. Megan, and Wendy. Thank you.
So as we just said, the thoughts in your mind, conscious thoughts or unconscious thought, start to project outwards and you see them manifested in the world. Now, there are three aspects at play here. Your mind, which is the pure creator, being disturbed by karma and deterred by the desires that one may have. So what appears to be a pure flow of the creation gets distorted by the karma and the desires, and then the world in front may look a very slight different picture. So karma, within the storehouse of your memory, is karma that exists maybe within this life or even previous lives. So memory is not stored in the brain, but outside of the brain, and one would just access this memory from time to time. And then the karma will travel from life to life. Now, as said, if one is in a bad mood, then one starts to see difficulties in life all around them. And it may mean to such an extent that life will take different pathways. So if you remember the story some time ago of the judge, it was called, where the judge did not believe in Shiva and refused to say his gratitude towards Shiva. And yet his mother was a devotee and persuaded him to go one day to pay his respects to Lord Shiva. On the way, there was an accident and the man was slightly hurt. And Shiva appeared in his dream and said, "Do you not understand that you were due to have a much more serious accident than what actually happened to you? It's only because of the devotion of your mother that your accident was minimalized from many months in hospital to just a minor injury that will last only mere days." And from that point, the judge became a devotee and constantly paid his respects to Shiva. Now, so karma in your life will flow into your life in many different ways. So you will perhaps undertake or experience what may be a very painful experience in your life. And this can be because of some incident earlier in your life or even a previous life. But one can minimize that karmic impact by undertaking certain work. And of course, that does not have to be Lord Shiva, but it can be service to others, the building of love in one's heart, the purification of one's mind. And this can turn what could have been a serious event into something more minor. And the opposite must also be true. See, this is the karma of the individual. And one walks into a street and receives an accident or of some description. But what about karma, where, let us say, two countries fire bullets at each other? Or there is an accident on, let us say, a boat where 50 people perish. Or an aeroplane that plummets to earth, killing hundreds. Now, you cannot say that that is the result of one individual's karma. It cannot be many thousands all having to experience the same outcome. You see, this points to a greater view of life. And now this karma is more related to the universal rather than to the individual. At least it looks that way. So if there was a boat to sink and 50 people lose their life, now this looks like a rather large disaster. But in the play of karma of the universal, it is nothing. It would not even attract the full attention. Let me explain it another way. Let us say we look closely at one particular organ within your body. Let's call it the liver. If you were to walk into the liver, you would see that there are cells being born, cells which are perishing, and cells which are performing their duty to the required rate. And it would look rather chaotic at this level. There is birth, there is the ordination of their activity, and there is death. And it would be very difficult to understand life. But if one was to step back from looking at individual cells to looking at the role of the liver as a whole, and then further back into the role of the body, then everything seems to work quite miraculously. And what is born and what passes is all just the play of the existence of a body. And therefore, if 50 cells were to die in the liver, it's of no concern to the whole body because it knows that 50 cells would also be born. And the body is living according to the play of life, which is happening at a far bigger level than one individual. So what looks like to be karma at a universal level is no more than the grand concept of what is occurring in life, and the way that all lives would follow a certain story or pathway. So let's put all of this into perspective. One can change one's life by purifying one's mind. And the world would look very different to that place. And their aspect of the play may look brighter or duller, depending on the karma they create. In the scheme of a society, a city, a town, a country, to humanity, then there is a greater intelligence involved, which will take life on a journey that one may never understand when one is looking from purely the connection of one cell against another cell. So if one is to change one's point of view from the individual to understanding the universal, then the miracle of life is so much different, and one enjoys the whole process. And love must be very prevalent. The body that may have been lost, or the 50 bodies in the boat accident, is of no consequence to the grand scheme, the large plan, to the universal. So what you are to do is to purify your mind and then reveal spirit, and then nothing else matters. The flow of energy through life will take place in ways which one individual never understand, but the spiritual will know that it's following a path of progress. So again, 2 points. And is this not now consistent with first find spirit, let spirit do the work? Become the observer of life by revealing the act of observation. Know that the karma that you are experiencing is from the internal world. And once experienced need never be experienced again. Reveal spirit, you reveal love. Love flows into the world. It looks different, but also love pulls all together into spirit and says to people, come home to the purity where karma does not matter. And again, spirit is seen then everywhere. So your viewpoint changes from external to internal, from separation to connection, from connection to unity. Or if you prefer, from fear to love. And when there is love, as the mother of the judge discovered, then the love will flow to others and help them in their life. So the love that you have in your heart doesn't just affect you and the way you look at your life or experience your life, but the love that you have in your heart affects your children, your parents, your friends, your work friends. And their karmas are eased. Where there is love, there is spirit. Where there is spirit, there is no ego. The ego collapses to reveal the spirit. Just disintegrates, disappears. The individuality is gone. What remains is the truth. So this becomes the supreme path. Some would say it's the royal path. Now, this path is not the easy path, but it is the most direct. And that is the destruction of the ego, the surrendering of the ego, the collapse of the ego, the removal of the individual I to find the great I am. So as karma flows through life, going back to see where it comes from is the act of the royal path. It's the most direct, direct to the purity of the Creator. But many cannot do that work because they are so trapped in the separation of self. And if you were to follow this path, if that is what you pick a life of service to others. The service to others is the surrendering of what is important for oneself to what is important to the other, and recognizing that it is love that builds the happiness and the connection and reveals the lack of individuality. Now, if my words are true, if they are true, you should be able to get a glimpse of what I am saying in experience. And in fact, you will have all had the experience already. It is simply this. When you do something nice for another person, does it make you feel better? Now, I'm sure you already know that answer because you have already glimpsed it. The ego says, I do something good for you, that makes you feel better. But if you look at it, that's not truly what happened. If you do something good for another, both benefit. That begins the comparisons, forgive me, the connection of two people connected by the love of service towards another. Is there not love there? Is there not some form of unity that is revealed there? In fact, is it not a service to another because one sees oneself in the other? So if this is true there, that doing something for them makes one feel good, then why not just keep doing that? It's a fairly simple question, isn't it? Why stop? But the physical world takes over and one's attention is drawn back to the individual separate self. And the ego says, look how good I am. Look how spiritual I am because I have helped another person. And it negates the beauty that one felt in the good deed done. So the path that we are taking this term, the purification of the mind, reveals the love and gift and service to others. It changes the perspective from ego to spirit, from fear to love, from illusion to truth. And I'm sure, well, perhaps I should hope rather than be sure, that you have all understood this and can accept these words, not blindly, but you've had some experiences of them before. You may even be resolving now in your mind to do it another time, to assist another. But you must ingrain this as a habit. Otherwise, you will fall back into the ego self. So there are three practices that you should put in front of all other things. Firstly, to meditate. This helps to settle the dust of the mind. The second is service to others, as this removes the separation between two people. And the third is various spiritual or sadhana, spiritual exercises, which are assisting you in the memory of this grand habit. Does this not reveal more peace and joy to you? Is it easier when life is more simple than at times when life is more challenging? So next week, I will have a session of questions if you would like to ask them. Then I will continue for 2 more weeks on talks on a similar but unrelated matter. The work that I am encouraging you to do is purification of the mind. I suggest you listen and try, but you must be willing. So questions next week if you wish to ask anything at all. Until then, God bless you all. Mm.